Hey, it's Jess. I'm going to show you a fun technique with some patinas. It's a cold enamel technique. Typically, a lot of the times you see us doing more of a blending with patina where you take multiple colors and kind of blend them together to get a worn look like this, or just using one solid color on a piece. And this is using multiple colors and pretty much color blocking in different detailed areas. And I'm going to work with the Vintage Vogue solid brass stemmed flower. This piece is really detailed. You could see that this flower has kind of different impressions in areas where different colors could sit. It's really beautiful. So I used 4 different colors to achieve this. And I already have my patinas laid out here. 2 of them are from the newest collection, Sunset in Morocco. And this is a pink, it's a petalite, and the carnelian, a really pretty orange. And then from our weathered copper, one of the original patina kits, is jade and moss. So the patinas are really fast drying. They were made specially formulated to adhere to metal, so they're permanent. And they clean up really easy with water. So you always want water on hand and paper towel. So I'm going to use this fine tip paintbrush for this technique. Usually I use more of a flat paintbrush when working on larger surfaces. And when putting your patina down on either a nonstick craft sheet or wax paper, you always want to shake the bottle. You can hear that there's like a shaker ball inside. Shake it really well before applying your amount. So you could see I have really small amounts here because it's fast drying. So to get started, I'm just going to simply let the patina soak up here on this brush. And I'm going to go in with the pink first and apply it inside these flower petals. And as you're doing that, you'll see that it's going to pull up, and that gives it a really nice enameled look. And I'm going to actually apply it along the edges as well. So you could turn it here. This piece is great to work with, the stemmed flower. You could hold on to the stem, and it's a little bit easier than working with it just flat on the surface or getting your hands super messy. I'm known for having patina all over my hands pretty much most of the time, so I'm sure you see that throughout videos. Okay, and then there's this little flower bud. I'm going to go ahead and apply that inside there as well. Okay, and then with switching colors, you're going to want to excuse me, rinse it off with water, and then use a paper towel to dry as much as it off as you can. Just get the excess water out of the brush there. Okay, now in with the carnelian, I'm going to go ahead and dab some in the center part of the flower. These 2 colors together are really beautiful. Okay, again, rinse it and dry. And then for the leaves, I'm going to use a combination of the jade and moss. So I'm going to pull most of this jade and just get a little dab of moss in there. And go ahead and get the large portions of the leaves. And then again, like kind of along the sides. And then this little fine detail on the flower buds. The fun thing is there's so many colors to work with, so you could really make an endless amount of designs using the same piece even. Okay, I'm just going to dry a little bit of that off with a paper towel. And now I'm going to pick up moss to color in the stem. And then you can go ahead in on your leaves and while the patina is wet and bring a little bit of that moss into the jade color if you want. And it kind of gives it, you might not be able to see here, but detailed kind of like veins are in the leaf. It's really pretty. this bottom here. Okay, so this won't take long to dry, just a few minutes really. I do have a piece here that's dry and I already reliefed it. So it's using the reliefing block. And what you do is just use the gray side, the dark gray side. So there's two of them, and that's meant for removing patina. It's the heaviest grit of the reliefing block. So that brings out some of the highlighted brass. I really like the look of that. You don't have to do that. You could leave it plain if you prefer just the solid color of the patina as well. But I'm going to let that dry and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so this is pretty dry. It's a little tacky to the touch, which is fine. You don't want it to dry too long, but so I'm going to go in with reliefing block just a little bit, that dark gray side like I mentioned, and remove patina along kind of a little bit on the raised areas. Okay, and then this light gray side, this is a polishing side. You could go over it with that as well if you'd like. That way those high points that were just relief kind of shine nice. All right, and I'd like to go over this then with the glaze. This is the original glaze. It has a satin to like semi-gloss finish. Just going to use a very small amount. And when working with the glaze, you want to apply it with a very dry brush. So I'm using a different brush, and this is a little bit of a larger tip, and work with thin layers. So I'm just applying it onto my brush, and I'm just going to apply a very thin layer over this. Like I said before, the patina is permanent without the glaze, but for this like enameled look, I like the glaze as a sealer over it. You always want the glaze to air dry, so takes a little bit longer to dry than the actual patina itself does, but not too long. So I am going to let this sit for a while before handling it. Some got in between here. Clear that out with the head pin. There. So I'll go ahead and set that piece aside and let that dry. And this one that I did previously, I'm going to show you how to create a loop to make that pendant. So using a round nose or rosary plier, just going to grip it at the tip of the stem and start rounding this out. Let's see here. So I'm just creating like a coiled loop like this, so it's completely closed, and you could slide chain or do beading or a silk or whatever you'd like to apply to it. And with this original piece, I actually did the back as well, just if it flips. You don't have to do that, but that's fun, and you could relief it too if you'd like. You always have maybe a little bit of patina left over, so that's something easy to do once the front is dry. And then with the Vogue line, you can keep it really simple and just string chain on it. This is one of the pre-made chains. It's an 18-inch chain. So all I did was just string it on. It already has a clasp. It's super simple. It's a really cute and fun necklace. Make a really great gift for someone. And then here's another example of the cold enamel on pieces made into earrings then. So this again has the glaze on it to give it kind of more of a finished look. Well, I hope you have fun doing this technique and trying out different colors and pieces. It works great, like I said, with the Vintage Vogue line or some of our natural brass and artisan copper. We even have some really pretty artisan pewter embellishments that you could use it on as well. Have fun.